Live from Nashville, Tennessee, it's The Three with the Studio C Band. And here's your host, Laura Harris-Smith.
Hi everybody, I'm Laura Harris-Smith and welcome to The Three's 100th episode celebration. This is episode 3, part 3 I guess you could say, of our 100th episode recap. And what I've done, if you've not been with us for the last 2 weeks, is I have picked out all of my favorite shows from the last 100 episodes. Can you believe that The Three is 100 episodes old? I cannot. So go back to episode 1 and watch it. It's going to tell you the story of how The Three came to be, how God did that, and also it includes all of my favorite physical health episodes. Man, we had some great guests over the last 3 years with that, and I just highlight them all in part 1 of this 100th episode celebration. So then week 2, last week, we talked about all of my favorite, showed you clips from my favorite emotional well-being episodes. But this week, we are, once again, we're doing a recap, but I have pulled all of my favorite episodes that are good for your spiritual health, right? Because The Three is called The Three because we're body, mind, and spirit. That's right. So I wanted to do a recap, but could not fit all of my favorite episode snippets in one show. So this week we are highlighting all of my, not my favorite guests, they're all my favorite guests, but the shows that I felt like we really did something significant for you as the viewer. And so I want to kick it off by just going straight to an interview that I did in season 1 with Mike and Cindy Jacobs. Now Cindy, of course, she and Mike are the co-founders of Generals International. She's the head of Debs United, and she's my spiritual mama. And I love her, and for over 20 years now, I've been following her around, and I was the United States Strategic Prayer Network Tennessee state coordinator for a while, and that put me on the road with her a little bit when my kids were younger, and it was just an amazing time. I was with her often, and my daughter Genesis actually took her first steps in Cindy's house in Colorado Springs when she lived in Colorado, and I was staying with Cindy at the time. And anyway, so Genesis is special to Cindy. There's still something there between them that's just sweet little hugs whenever they see each other. So let me go straight to that interview. Great little snippet there with Mike and Cindy. Listen. So when that happens and you're in that moment, I know, I'm getting you to just tell the viewer, that moment when you're supposed to declare something. Can you unpack that a little bit for them and just say, what does that, as it rises up inside of you to declare something, what does that feel like?
What does it feel like? Normal.
That's obvious. No, that's obvious.
No, but it's hard to explain, when you feel this authority, but it's very different. It's like the office of the prophet, as opposed to just kind of prophesying out of your own natural will and desire. There's something that it's a now thing. This is going to happen. And when sooner rather than later, it's going to happen.
I'm glad to hear you describe that way. When the word of the Lord wells up inside of you, it's just an authority. You know it, and you're knower. So I don't want you to dismiss that. When you feel that feeling, you need to remember that God might just be talking to you to release something in the earth. Wow. All right, here's one of my favorites, one of the Three's favorites, and that is James Gall. Now, Dr. James Gall, Prophet James Gall, whatever you want to call him, I call him a big brother. He is a phenomenal show guest, always entertaining. But I have had different episodes on him. I think he's appeared as many times as Mike Lindell, so 4 or 5 times. that many shows, and I love it because every time we have him back, it's something different. We've done a show with him that was a musical CD that he did. But one time in season 1, I had him on and he said something so profound. I want you to listen to this little snippet of my interview with Dr. James Gall.
And this is a gift to you because he wants you to know you are never alone. But I want to say, if God calls you to do something, and this is a testimony of that,
Yes,
if you'll be diligent, there's his part, there's your part. If you'll be diligent, like you're being media right now, and have been for years, he will help underwrite it.
Yes.
And he will confirm his word.
'Cause we are family. Let's stick together.
Thank you, James. And I'm sure you will see him again next season. He's got a new book out on Israel. All right. Well, you know, my favorite, I do have a favorite. I have a favorite show guest that appeared in season 1. Do you know who that show guest was? It was my husband. I did an episode on the races, and I'm talking about racism, the spirit of division, and I had my husband, who is a pastor in Nashville, and Pastor Otha Turnbow, who is the pastor of Lionheart Church in Atlanta. Listen to this interview. I loved it. You see so much segregation, and you said something during the break that was so powerful. I want you to tell our audience.
Well, what we call racism is really not racism. It's actually the spirit of division. And the reason I call it the spirit of division, because if you take the spirit of division and apply it to people, it becomes racism.
Right.
If you apply it to politics, it becomes Republican and Democrat. If you apply it to class, it becomes blue collar, white collar, etc.
Well, then how do you deal with that? This is really the question I want to get to. So how do you pastor the opposite race?
Pastorally, I really don't see any difference. You know, I really see a heart. I see someone that comes in and who has an opportunity that we have an opportunity as a church to love on and encourage in their walk with the Lord. And you know, I think it's the furthest thing from my mind is the color of the skin of somebody that comes in.
Right.
You know, we're fortunate at Eastgate to have an environment that's very loving and accepting. And when we create a culture in our church that invites the Holy Spirit into our service, the Holy Spirit has an amazing ability to get you to see the heart, and not the color of the skin.
Isn't that good? Wow. Okay, so when we come back from the break, we are going to have more of my recaps of our 100th episode, part 3, which is all of your favorite spiritual health episodes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break.
Neuromatics Oil is a family of therapeutic-grade patented oil blends created by nutritionist and author Laura Harris Smith. Invented for her own lifelong journey for neurological health, Quiet Brain now helps those worldwide who suffer from insomnia, migraines, anxiety, seizures, tremors, and more. Quiet Brain contains oils like frankincense, myrrh, lavender, sandalwood, and others. Next, Happy Brain is a bright mood-lifting citrus blend and contains oils like lemon, lime, clementine, spearmint, and more. Users say it combats depression and even aids in weight loss. Next is Sharp Brain, Laura's Focus Blend, also used to improve cognitive memory issues with oils like coffee, cinnamon, vanilla, clove, and others. Each $69.95 bottle is a 10-week supply if used daily, or about $1 a day. And right now, buy 2 bottles and get the third one free, and get a free eye mask using the promo code on your screen at neuromaticsoil.com or at 1-855-784-3827. That's 1-855-QUIET-BRAIN.
Welcome back from the break, everybody. I'm Laura. You're watching The3. And just before the commercial break, I showed you an episode from season 1 in our recap for our 100th episode of Pastor Otha Turnbow from Atlanta, Georgia, Lionheart Church. Now, did you know that his wife co-pastors alongside of him? Look, if you're in the Atlanta area and you don't have a church, you got to get to Lionheart. I'm telling you, if I lived there, they would be my pastors. So I invited Pastor Lorana on in season 2, and it turned out to be one of my favorite spiritual episodes. And I'm telling you, this lady has some wisdom, so Take a listen to this. What is life like for you in Atlanta as a female ordained woman pastor?
Well, I can say this. I wasn't born in the South, and nor was I raised in the church. So I did not have the inhibitions that you had.
Okay.
And then when Otha, my husband, entered my life, I just told him that I am called to the ministry. I'm not sure in what capacity, but I am called to the ministry. And from that point, you know, we get married, and I have a family, and that was my first ministry.
Yes.
And I stayed in the background for so many years, just so many years, as I'm just seeking the Lord again, praying, all that preparation time. And then 7 years ago, when we opened the church, we opened it as pastors together. He ordained me. And so I have not had any opposition in that regard. I mean, there are men who make comments, but I'm not swayed by that. I mean, if you had to defute women, if you were upset with women being in ministry, then you have to look at every other sector of life. You have women who are professors, judges, Supreme Court. I mean, you have so many women in leadership.
Yes.
Queens, I mean, so many in leadership. So why not a church? Why not? And so I'm so glad that you explain that passage of Scripture, because people take out of context and they misinterpret it.
That's just one of 2 or 3. I really did. It was during that time that I actually got into the Word to study that, because I wanted to know if God wanted me to do this or not. So when I went through with it and they ordained me, the pastor said to me, now, honey, you're going to get 2 sets of business cards. And you're not going to put pastor or reverend or anything on one of them, because it will be difficult. And to this day, there are a lot of people in our city that most of the invitations, you know, for a long time started to go just to my husband. And I had to come to this place. You can either get bitter, or you can show them what you're made of.
That's exactly
the people in this city and now in the world know that I am a shepherdess. You call me what you want to. Just don't take my sheep away from me. That's all I care about. Okay, if you have watched The Three for any length of time at all, you know that I did 2, not 1, but 2 interviews with Dr. Robert Jeffress. Now, he is the pastor of First Baptist Dallas, First Dallas, I think they call it now, and so much more. I mean, he's in television and radio. He writes books. He's also a Baker author. I love the Baker authors. I mean, they are just a phenomenal group of people I'm honored to be a part of at Baker Publishing. So I'm going to show you just a little snippet from the second interview that I did with him, which interestingly enough was about America. It was about his role with President Trump. And he told us some, I think, really surprising things about President Trump. Take a listen.
Out to me, I went up to Trump Tower. We had a great meeting together. We became friends, and we're really friends right now more than anything. Amazing. I was with him last week in the Oval Office, and he's doing great. He is the absolutely most resilient human being I've ever been around. I mean, everything was coming in at him last week, but he was upbeat, positive, excited about the nation. I ran into one of his kids the next day at the hotel, and I said, I was with your dad yesterday. I said, it's amazing how resilient he is. He said, yes, and he said his doctors told him the reason he is in such great health is he has the ability every morning when he wakes up to hit the reset button. And that's the key to moving forward. Every day's a new day. I thought, what a great application, especially for Christians. You know, God's mercies are fresh every day.
So good. Well, that's season 2 so far. Now, all of my I guess most favorite moments of bringing spiritual health to you. Skipping ahead to season 3, I have to say, I'm kind of biased. My favorite episode that season was one that we did on my church, the church Chris and I pastor, Eastgate Creative Christian Fellowship. Take a look at this.
Well, it started in our living room.
It was a home birth.
It was a home birth, wasn't it?
With 18 people, 15 besides us, the 2 of us and our adult daughter, and there were some children. But there was another ministry that had collapsed, was collapsing. It's a very long story, but when it did, the leaders of that ministry came to us and said, you're pastors, and if you'll start a church, we'll cover it. And we were so used to coming up under pastors. We were sort of like that best supporting actor and actress role. You know, we were the campaign managers for the pastor. We enjoyed coming up under people like that. And then we got to thinking about it, and we thought, we'll still be doing the same thing. We'll just be coming up under the members and helping people build their lives. And that really has been our approach to pastoring. I don't look at it like the top job. I look at it as the underneath job. Yeah, it's the lowest job. It is. It's a good job. Oh, I love my home church, Eastgate. And if you're in the Nashville area and you need a church, I would love to meet you. Now, stay tuned for more of my favorite episodes of The Three right after the break.
Neuromatics Oil is a family of therapeutic-grade patented oil blends created by nutritionist and author Laura Harris Smith. Invented for her own lifelong journey for neurological health, Quiet Brain now helps those worldwide who suffer from insomnia, migraines, anxiety, seizures, tremors, and more. Quiet Brain contains oils like frankincense, myrrh, lavender, sandalwood, and others. Next, Happy Brain is a bright mood-lifting citrus blend and contains oils like lemon, lime, clementine, spearmint, and more. Users say it combats depression and even aids in weight loss. Next is Sharp Brain, Laura's Focus Blend, also used to improve cognitive memory issues with oils like coffee, cinnamon, vanilla, clove, and others. Each $69.95 bottle is a 10-week supply if used daily, or about $1 a day. And right now, buy 2 bottles and get the third one free, and get a free eye mask using the promo code on your screen at neuromaticsoil.com or at 1-855-784-3827. That's 1-855-QUIET-BRAIN.
I'm naturopathic Dr. Laura Harris Smith, and if you'll give me 10 days, Give It to God and Go to Bed can help you stress less, sleep better, and dream more. There are even links inside to my free 10 Days to Deeper Sleep and Dreams program and 10 Goodnight videos. Can you close your eyes and just still listen to me? The whole book takes place in your bedroom, and with chapter titles like The Junk Under Your Bed, The Treasures in Your Bedroom, and The Monsters in Your Closet. Give It to God and Go to Bed helps you learn to rest and hear God speak in dreams. Take back your sleep and dreams, my friend, with Give It to God and Go to Bed. Welcome back from the break, everybody. I'm Laura. You're watching The Three, and we are doing a recap. This is the last segment of our recap for our 100th episode. It's been a great 3-part series. And next up, it's obvious, isn't it, that we are all of this whole 3-part series. We have led up to season 5, and this entire season has been called America the Beautiful. And it has been in response to the 2020 election. We kicked off in December, and technically, we have spent a few dozen episodes devoted to this, devoted to America. People are still waiting in this country on justice, and many people are redefining that. I stand by my original claim, and that is that I just believe God is extracting corruption from our election processes and in our political systems, and that He's extracting prayer from the church. So one of my favorite episodes in season 5, we took a look at how God created the stars, the things that He has done in the heavens as signs since the beginning of time, and we took a look at what that means for our nation. I want to introduce you to a comet. Yes, a comet. It's called Borisov. I believe it's C2017E1, also being called the Conception Comet. Let's go back to the date of, I believe it's May 4th, 2016. That was the day that Donald Trump won the primary for the presidency of the United States. Now, I want you to look at where it is that day. It's beginning in the loins of the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Do you see it there? And then it's going to come down. I'm just going to click the date and allow the date to continue to just move inch by inch, day by day. And we're going to see that it goes into the womb of the Virgin. There is a zodiac named after this. I'm not even going to say the name. It's actually a constellation. It's just a very scientific name. But I just feel it has become perverted by all the zodiac attention. So let's just call her the Virgin. She actually represents the Virgin Church. The church, she represents you. And this comet comes down, and you see it enter her womb. Did you notice that day? November 8th, 2016. What was that? That was the day of the election of Donald Trump. Now, keep going even further. She gives birth to the comet, and it stretches out, and it stops at the hand of Jesus, right? The representative of Jesus who's handling the serpent, and it stops right there. Do you check out that date? January 20th, 2017. That was the day of the inauguration of Donald Trump. I don't think that those dates are coincidental. I think you can even take a look at this picture again of Ophiuchus, and you see him, and he's handling the snake. Look at the snake. The snake is always reaching for the corona borealis. He is reaching for corona to rule. Isn't that interesting? Reaching for corona to rule. Yeah, and I would say that that is what has defined Donald Trump's presidency, one of the largest wars. Where do you stand, my friend? You know, we have heard from so many prophetic voices on this season of The Three. For example, Johnny Enlow, he came and paid us a visit. We've heard prophecies from Kim Clement that go back more than a dozen years. We have heard from Prophet Hank Kuhneman, Pastor Hank Kuhneman, so many, you know, and I have been thankful that we have been able to say, I really believe that every dream and every vision was correct. Now we have to work out the timing. And I know you say, oh, Laura, it's too late. Nothing is too late for God. Don't be like Martha when she says, Lord, if you just would have gotten here, my brother wouldn't have died. Come on. It's time to pray. And that's what season 5 of The Three has been all about. It has been about America the Beautiful. And technically, we're not really done with that season. I am committed to praying for America until I see a change of biblical proportion. And meanwhile, as I said, we have had to be out of our production studio, which I love being in the studio. But guys, I mean, it has just been a challenging time with, you know, everything that's going on in the world. And so we have had to drop back and punt. And that's what we have done. And I'm thankful for the episodes we've been able to bring to you. This season has been a little more intimate, hasn't it? But that's what was needed right now in America. We needed more prayer. You didn't need a million guests this season. Really, it would have been a distraction. I have come on here every week just about and said, please keep praying for America. Please keep praying for America. I've shared with you dreams that I had trying to figure out exactly what the Lord is saying and His timing. I've prayed on site in different places. And guys, I am committed to continuing to pray until the Lord tells me to stop doing that. So had only one person that has written in recently and said, okay, so, you know, what is Laura doing? She said Trump was going to be reinstated. So what I said is not something that wasn't allowed in the Constitution doesn't allow for. What I have been saying all along, and I mean ad nauseum, and I'm going to continue to say it, is I believe justice was not done. I believe we will see justice. Remember that dream that I shared where I said that I was watching on television, it was like the overturning of or justice being revealed for the 2020 election, and I said, oh, thank God, as if something major happened and was turned around. Now, how on earth can that happen? I do not know. I still don't know, guys. But I will tell you that I believe with all of my heart that God is going to do what He said that He would do for me. He's done that in every other area of my life. So when He tells me He's extracting corruption from our political system and extracting prayer from the church, I can't do much about this, but I can handle this. I can pray, and I can encourage you to pray. Well, I want to, as we're closing out today's episode, thank a few people who make The Three possible and who have made The Three possible. I have to thank the networks that carry The Three. I want to say a special thank you to Steve Cunningham. He is the programming director and director of sales at Christian Television Network, CTN. I honestly don't know where I'd be without that guy. He was a guest one time on The Three. I'm going to tell you, he is on the list of top 10 influencers in my life. I think the list is now a top 15 list. I'm getting so old. But he's on it. He changed my life, and he has given The Three a chance, and I'm thankful for it. Also, at the Total Living Network, I want to give a big shout out at TLN to Jerry Rose, former CEO, and current CEO Deborah Frazier, and Greg Bogdan in programming. I'm telling you, they gave me a shot too. This show would not be on the air without them. And I thank God all the time for you guys, because you made it happen and you gave me a chance, and I will forever be grateful. I also want to thank, I don't even know if he's watching today, but his name is James Caldwell, and he has been a faithful donor to Laura Harris Smith Ministries every single month for almost 2 years now. And you know what? It's not a large amount, but it has been consistent, and I'm going to tell you, he is the only monthly donor that this ministry has. The only one. And do you know why? It's because I do not make a hard sell on television for money. I made the decision early on. I was not going to be that person who got on television and told you all your wildest dreams would come true. You know, if you'd send me something, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to trust the Lord more than that. But it has also meant that everything has come out of pocket. For the last 3 years and for 100 episodes, we have 100% funded the last 100 episodes. So guys, I'm going to ask you today, I'm going to ask you to become a monthly donor to Laura Harris Smith Ministries. We are a nonprofit, so it will be a tax-deductible gift. And every penny that you send is going to be able to be used for our education purposes of body, mind, and spirit, this television program, all the media. Everything that I do is incorporated under there, just about. And I love getting the good news out there, body, mind, and spirit, that Jesus is our Savior. He's our healer. He wants to teach us. He wants to save us. He wants to make us healthy, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Well, I need your help to do that. I want to go another 200, 300. I want to do a 500 episode recap. I believe that the three is just getting started, but I need your help. So go to the address on your screen, and I hope that you will give a tax-deductible donation and become a monthly partner. I had a career in television. I've been in television since I was 3 years old, okay? So, you know, I want a TV family. I don't just want a TV career. I want you to be a part of my TV family. I consider you to be a media missionary, helping me take the good news of Jesus Christ all around the world. So would you do that? Go to the address on your screen, give an amount, any amount, but we have special designations of 1,000 or more, you get an on-screen credit, and 5,000 or more, you actually become a co-producer in the online credits for an entire season. So consider doing that. Would you pray about it? And help us keep the three going for many more years to come. All right, everybody. I am so thankful to you for the last 100 episodes. We've got so much more work to do. Thank you for joining me for this recap, a 3-part series in our 100th episode celebration. I'll see you next time, everybody. I'm Laura Harris Smith. Bye-bye for now.